You just got wrecked.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Monday. That's right, back on the grind. Hope you had an awesome weekend. If we have a look at the markets, it's not exactly the most beautiful of Mondays, okay? We do have some mild red across the board. Bitcoin SV is pumping. We'll talk about that in just a second. But I do have a lot I want to go over today. I want to talk about Bitcoin getting closer and closer to this critical level. Now, we've had some people coming out saying that we could potentially blast all the way up to $12,500. And you're hearing others saying that we need to dump and retest some of these lower lows. We're going to dive in. We're going to look at that. I also want to talk about a little bit of a controversial topic. Okay, we had some research that came out recently that said only about 1.3% of Bitcoin is actually used for purchasing things, whereas the remainder is just speculative trading. And a lot of people say that that's a bad thing for Bitcoin, and that's why Bitcoin is going to struggle to reach mass adoption. I actually have a counter argument, and I'm going to get into that as well. And also, getting back on the topic of Bitcoin SV, we do know that they've recently come out. Craig Wright has said some pretty nasty allegations against Binance about potentially using 30% of their funds along with Tether to fund women slavery. Yes, I'm not making that up. And we're also going to talk about the Binance DEX as well and some criticism. So today's a crazy day. You're definitely going to want to stick around for this one. Now let's give this market a quick refresh live. Nothing. Virtually no movement whatsoever. I had this page open about 3 hours ago, and you see there's really nothing. So currently the markets are going sideways. We don't really know what we want to do right now. So let's dive in. Let's have a look. Well, we do have Bitcoin sitting around $8,500. If we look at the biggest gainers today, Maximine coin is still going. Bitcoin SV, Cosmos, Metaverse ETP, Ethereum Classic, Ardor, Engine. So we are seeing some mild gains. You know, we go down here, we get into the 1%, but then a lot of the remainders are just in the red today, right? Now, having a look at what is going on over here on Coin Farm, we're noticing over on Binance, you're seeing a very mild buy, whereas on a lot of the other exchanges, you are seeing sells, and the shorts are overtaking the longs today at around 51.7%. So having a look at the charts over here, we notice that Bitcoin isn't doing anything crazy dramatic. In fact, it's kind of boring right now what Bitcoin is doing. We're obviously up out of this danger zone that we were in, and we're still just following on this nice little upwards trajectory. We're still in this giant wedge that we've been in for quite some time. We've discussed this already multiple times. Should this wedge follow all the way to the end, well, then you're looking at a breakout potentially mid-June. However, I think we're going to be seeing something a lot sooner than that. Also, you can flip it and look at it this way. We do have another wedge forming, which is very, very sharp, steep. It's going upwards, right? We do have a little bit of the red danger zone here, which I'll explain in just a second why we have that here. On the positives, we are remaining above the EMA ribbon on the daily. However, if we go to the lower time frames, you notice that the EMA ribbon, well, we're kind of poking into it a little bit. Now, you can look right here and notice on the 89, okay, you can see right here, we touched it and we wicked up. So that has provided good support, even though we are currently very deep inside of the ribbon right now, right? So I just wanted to point that out. Still looking good as far as that's concerned. And when I was talking about the CME Bitcoin futures contracts expiring before, a lot of people were concerned. There's always a gap, right? We need to fill these gaps. So they say over here that with the CME Bitcoin futures expired, there will be a temporary gap. However, since these positions are typically rolled over, the temporary gap shouldn't exert any downward pressure on the Bitcoin spot price. But that is not the one that we're concerned about. The one that we're concerned about is what happened right around here, this gap, and that's sort of this red zone that I have highlighted. Now, you can move this and play with it around, because you could see technically, we didn't reopen until all the way up here, but obviously we had some of that filled with some of this downward action. So the reason that I'm lowering it is because that is where we had this wick right here, and then we also came down May 22nd and May 23rd. So I actually would bring the region down to around here. So some people are saying we may have to potentially come down and touch this level. Now, one thing to keep in mind though, if you do look at the way that the CME futures has been reacting to the Bitcoin price, or I should say maybe the other way around, you can see that down here we were sort of stuck in this channel, right? And we were just going up and up and up. And then when we had that first gap, we jumped all the way up to $7,000. And as you could see, once we came back down, we had this crazy wick. But from that point on, the previous resistance now became the support. So this green line, which was what we were trying to break above, is now actually providing the support that we are not breaking below. So I do think that short term, this could potentially still be very positive movement. However, we do know that Bitcoin is always due for a potential black swan event. You know, anything can happen, right? Like what we saw with Kraken and Canadian dollars. Bitcoin went all the way down to $100. Nuts. So you guys know anything can happen. So that's something that I wanted to bring up. But interestingly enough, you've seen some of these Bitcoin bears turn into Bitcoin bulls, right? Vinny Lingham, you know him as the CEO of Civic. He was calling for way low, saying we got to go down to 4,000, 3,000, maybe even. Remember at one point he was saying $2,500, right? Well, now he's completely changed his view, and he says that we're probably going to blast past 10,000, and he says that we're probably going to get upwards to around $12,000, right? So he says that this is still being viewed as an aggressive price movement, and for that reason, there's strong belief that it should reach 10,000 and keep going, but he is a little bit more cautious once we start hitting that $12,000 level. He does think that that is when you may see sellers really just saying that's enough, because anyone that was buying down at 3,100, you know, by the time we get upwards to 12,000, 12,200, 12,500, that's a 4x. 12,400 would be a 4x, right? So they're saying that you may start seeing some of these guys say, hey, that's enough profit for now. I'm cashing out, right? Now, for a lot of us, we're the hodlers. Maybe we're just going to chill and do our thing. But there are going to be sellers out there, guys. So you have to be prepared for that, right? But I do want to just point out that not only did we have record numbers on CME Bitcoin futures breaking the all-time high, we have yet again broken it as of May 28th with 5,190 contract open interest. This represents an increase of about 7% on top of the all-time high that we had the week before. And you can see, as Imran points out, CME volumes are authentic and a great proxy for institutional interest. We're not dealing with wash trading here. We're not dealing with, you know, these shady exchanges. No, these are actual contracts. You can look at them. You can see them with your own eyes. So that just goes to show you that people are excited. Now, guys, stick with me on this one, because this is a big one. This is something that I see a lot of people slamming Bitcoin for, saying that this is why Bitcoin, you know, will never really be a currency. It's not really good money or whatever they say. So you could see Chainalysis indicated that only 1.3% of Bitcoin transactions were used for purchases this year. And they said last year it was around the same number as well. So if 1.3% is used for purchases, then that means that the other 98.7% is just speculative trading. Well, that doesn't seem like a very useful form of money, does it? So several commentators also quoted that they were generally believing Bitcoin will never become primarily used as currency, but the same people that are saying this are also saying that they're very bullish on the price. So let's talk about this and let's see exactly what is going on. So I want to break this down. I want to look at this Fred chart, the economic research. You can see this is the dollar. This is the purchasing power of the dollar since its inception, okay? Now, the thing that we have to go over is that banks designed the U.S. monetary system for dollars to lose on average 2 to 3%, right? Give or take, right? Of their value every single year as the Federal Reserve issues them steadily over time. So the Fed gives newly issued dollars to Federal Reserve banks like Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, right? To lend at a profit. When they begin to circulate, they drive down the value of every dollar in your bank account. So let's take a little stroll down memory hill. Or is that a thing? Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, since the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, I was a very young boy at that time. I barely remember that. But the US dollar inflation averaged around 3.22%, okay? And it's pretty much stayed around that since then. So that might not seem like a lot to you, right? 3%, 3.2%, that's not much, right? But it means that every 20 years, price doubles. So in other words, dollar inflation steals half of your money every 2 decades. Do you guys understand this? So every 20 years, you are losing half of your hard-earned money by keeping it in dollars. And I wanted to point this video out. This is Gresham's Law, Thomas Gresham and Thier's Law. Now, this is from 1 Minute Economics. This is not a new video. I've seen a few people pointing it out. And if you haven't seen it yet, I also would like to share this on my channel as well. I think it's really interesting how it breaks down, given the option between two things that, let's say a regulatory entity is telling you are worth the exact same value and you value one more than the other. Well, which one are you going to spend? If I have $5 worth of Bitcoin or a $5 bill, which one are you most likely going to spend? If you could spend them just as easily, they could both easily be spent, right? You probably would spend the dollar. And why is that? It's because you value the Bitcoin more. Let's play this video and we'll continue on this conversation.
Let's assume you have two coins, a silver one and one made of less valuable copper. Furthermore, legal tender laws state that they have the same value and merchants are forced to accept both. We'll also assume you're hungry and, coincidentally, a loaf of bread costs exactly one coin. Which of the two coins will you use to pay the baker? Gresham's Law, named after Sir Thomas Gresham, basically tells us that bad money drives out good, or in other words, that of course you'll want to keep the more valuable silver coin and use the copper one. Since other people will do the same, silver coins will eventually no longer circulate because everyone will just hang on to them. However, this only happens when the state is able to enforce legal tender laws. If those don't exist or people are no longer willing to follow them, Gresham's Law can operate in reverse, with good money driving out bad money because merchants will only accept payment methods they consider valuable. This reverse of Gresham's Law is called Thiers' Law in honor of Adolphe Thiers and can be observed in situations such as citizens of Eastern European countries after the Soviet bloc collapsed using dollars instead of their volatile currencies, or similar situations in, let's say, South America, where legal tender laws are either non-existent or they exist, but, well, people don't care.
So there you go, guys. Now, do you understand what the point of this video was basically trying to say? So in a way, I consider this to be a good thing short term. The fact that people don't want to spend their Bitcoin. Usually they say, no, you got to spend your Bitcoin. You got to spend it. That's how you create demand for it, right? I understand. And listen, it's a tough road because part of me wants to be like, yeah, go out there and spend it. But you know what? The fact that people are actually hoarding it and holding on to it, that actually in a strange way tells me that they consider it more valuable and a better form of money. Let me know how you feel about this. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Am I totally crazy? Do I have this completely backwards? Am I missing the point? Or short term, does it actually make sense that people are hesitant to spend their Bitcoin because they know that they know what it's going to be. Like, look at the Bitcoin pizza guy, right? Spent 20,000 Bitcoin on 2 pizzas or 10, whatever it was, 10,000, 20,000, regardless, it was millions of dollars by today's standards, right? So that is just something I wanted to point out moving forward. Now, let's talk about this insane controversy. What is this all about? So apparently Craig Wright had a talk from Real Coin Geek Toronto, and this is what he had to say. I think I'm just going to play this one for you guys because it will definitely speak for itself.
Because right now, BTC is still used because of the illegal operations like Binance and Bitfinex and Tether to fund illegal operations, pumping money, illegal money travel, illegal use of people smuggling. Right now, 30% of Binance money funds women in prostitution. 30% of Binance and Tether funds women in slavery.
So, yeah, that is quite an allegation to make. Now, I would like to know where he's getting these numbers and statistics and data from, but this is a really serious thing to be saying. I mean, that's definitely some defamation of character if it's not true, okay? So that's the situation moving forward. Yeah, this dude is just nuts over here. So you could see Peter McCormick, he actually, mentioned to CZ, what's up. And he said giving attention is probably what he wants. We ignore stupid stuff and focus on things that matter. But man, I just feel like at some point, this guy is just going to get himself into some really insane situation. Let me know what you guys think about this. This is definitely a crazy allegation to be making. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bitcoin SV's up today though, right? So anyway, speaking about Binance, some people have been talking about the Binance DEX, how it's blocking a bunch of different jurisdictions, including the US, right? So basically, long story short, cut and dry, yes, the website is blocking your IP address, but this is what BitMex does, and this is what Bybit does, right? If you guys want to, you can obviously just use one of their wallets, like Trust Wallet, or just use a VPN, connect it with your private keys. It won't be able to figure out where you're connecting from. I don't really want to get into the whole, it's not really a decentralized exchange thing. We've talked about that. Obviously, it does have a lot of work to become, a true decentralized exchange. But I just wanted to point that out because some people were bringing that up as well. And the other thing, too, is that Binance has now issued a GBP stablecoin, the BGBP. And this was actually hinted back on May 1st. You could see Crypto's Batman said if Binance doesn't issue their own stablecoin, or if they does, it'll become one of the biggest tokens on Binance Change. I cannot speak today, guys. Excuse me. To which CZ replies, careful what you wish for. So this was something that we were expecting a while ago. We also have OKEx launching their own stablecoin as well, the USDK. Not really much else to say about that. Also wanted to talk about some, coin news. We have Justin Sun saying, I did it. Big win for blockchain community. Big reveal June 3rd. Stay tuned. So today is June 3rd. That's announcements of announcements of announcements. So let's see. Is there a new announcement? Because if not, I'm putting the video out. I don't have time to wait. 40 minutes ago, and that doesn't look to be the announcement. Yeah, so we don't have an announcement yet, guys. And currently you could see that the price of Tron is down. Yeah, it's gone down. So as you guys can see here, over the past 7 days, it looks like it's been more of a buy the rumor, sell the news. So right around here, yesterday, June 2nd, we started seeing the sell-off. So very typical, buy the rumor, sell the news. We saw it with EOS for voice. Very common in the space, and I do tend to tell people that, mainnet releases or something coming out. If you want to get in on the rally, most people tend to sell like the day before. It usually doesn't pump on the day of the news. It usually actually dumps on the day of the news. So that's just something to keep in mind if that's how you're trading. For example, the Neo mainnet is hours away from a new upgrade, which is set to happen today. So in this upgrade, all mainnet consensus nodes will be upgraded in order to improve network stability. The network fee mechanism will also be adjusted. The main change is the addition of an oversized fee that will charge relative to the size on transactions larger than 1,024 bytes. Also, in other news, we have BitMex set to reduce Bitcoin fees with liquid sidechain and SegWit. Cryptocurrency trading platform BitMex has hinted it will be using Blockstream's liquid sidechain technology to reduce its impact on the Bitcoin mempool. But in the meantime, just use Bybit, guys. Bybit's working perfectly fine. I've had no issues. It's actually been a very pleasurable experience. So get yourself a VPN and check out the video above if you're interested. Also, over-the-counter trading is now live on Ethfinex Trusless. Kind of just blasting through some of this news. Don't want to make the video too long. Also want to talk about, this is actually really good news, and I think we'll end here. So Bitcoin Core developers have authored a Bitcoin improvement proposal, which involves the development of a relay protocol that would effectively reduce the transaction bandwidth size used by the Bitcoin network. So according to the proposal's specifications, its activation will lower the amount of bandwidth required to process Bitcoin transactions by approximately 75%. That is really good news. So the main idea behind it is that instead of announcing every transaction to every peer on the Bitcoin network, announcements are only sent directly over a small number of connections, around 8 of them, and further relay is achieved by periodically running a set reconciliation protocol over every connection between the sets of withheld announcements in both directions. I'm sure you really appreciated all of that information, but long story short, we're cutting transactions by approximately 75%. So let's get into the the Ledger Nano S giveaway. You guys know we do this every single Monday. So today, this week we had eight videos because we had the Andre Cronje interview, which was a really great interview. If you guys didn't check it out, you definitely got to check it out. So so we'll go over here to this. We'll put in 8 because there were 8 videos. Generate 8. So yesterday's video. Wow. Okay. So let's go to yesterday's video. Copy this. I tell people when it comes to things. What did I tell people? I don't know. I was talking about Bybit. Let's see here. All right. 626 unique comments. Drum roll, please. I hate my Ledger Nano S, need to uninstall, reinstall apps so many times. I really need a Nano X. Well, we're not giving away a Nano X this week. Well, Ronald, I'll tell you what. You hate your Ledger Nano S. Well, you know what? You did win, so I'll give you 24 hours. You can hit me up if you want it. I'm sorry, I have Ledger Nano S's, but let me know. If not, we'll do the drawing again tomorrow for somebody else. I'm really sorry you hate your Ledger Nano S, but once again, yeah, you do have to uninstall, reinstall, yeah. Well, how many altcoins are you holding, man? I mean, yeah, sounds like you might be holding a lot. Because Ethereum, if you're using with ERC20s on my crypto or my Ether wallet, that's like 90% of all the altcoins out there. So I don't know. Let me know though. If you're interested, that's that. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. That's it for me today, guys. You know I freaking love you. Today is Monday, back on the grind. We definitely have Bitcoin moving up and up, but what I'm looking at right here is this little wedge, you know, this little really important area. We're gonna see some movement probably. So that being said, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. My name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.